And now we're going to prepare to come out of this pose by taking a deep breath in. The out breath, we're going to bring our hands back up into the extended child's pose. On the in breath, to our tabletop for a few centering breaths as we prepare for our next pose, which is going to be cobra, dynamically and then statically for a breath. So to get ready for our cobra, we're going to extend our tabletop into an extended tabletop. We'll see why in a bit. So we take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to come down to the mat. And this pose here is known as crocodile pose. A few centering breaths here to get used to this position. And cobra is a back bend. All back bends start on the in breath because they deal with the energy of prana, vitality, opening up our lungs and our chest so we can breathe more, take in more prana, vitality from the air. But deep cautions here with back bends. And looking at a picture in a book, a lot of people curl their lower back and curl their neck back and create quite a lot of injury to themselves. Because the idea of the back bend is to open up our thoracic spine. So to protect our lumbar and cervical spine, before we come into any back bend, we want to bring our hips into cat pose. Remember cat pose? We're going to push our hips into the mat, tightening up our abdomen, and that's going to help keep our lumbar spine flat so we don't create too much of a curve and bring injury to our lumbar spine. And to protect our cervical spine, we're just going to remember to keep our chin parallel with our chest, so that way we don't pull our head back. Now most people are quite tense in their thoracic spine, so when we make these safety precautions, we might only lift this high up. But that's okay. Again, there's more about the mind being present of where your tension line is, your current edge. And so anyway, back to our practice. We're here in the crocodile pose. On our in breath, we're going to get ready for our cobra, tighten up our abs, and wherever our chin is, take a deep breath in. And just lift up, not using your arms yet, and then breathe out, back into crocodile pose. The in breath, we're lifting up to our baby cobra. And on the out breath, allowing ourselves to sink back into the mat, and the work our spine up, getting ready for the static pose. Breathe in. When we come to using our arms, it's less like a push-up and more like we're trying to pull ourselves forward. And as we pull ourselves forward, pull our shoulders back, we're actually helping to expand our chest, and that's what these back bends are about. Now, when we take our deep breath in, we're going to hold our cobra pose, but be very careful because as we let our breath out, we're going to lose that support of our lungs. So if we need to sink down from our cobra pose a little bit, do that. Be real cautious. Take a breath in here. Feel the power of the cobra. Then breathe out and back to the crocodile pose. A few centering breaths because we're going to do the static pose one more time. So when we're ready, on our in breath, we're going to take a breath up into our cobra pose, using our arms to pull us forward, helping expand our chest. Breathing out, feel our thoracic spine open up. Coming out of it when we have to. Deep breath in. Feeling all that tension release out of our thoracic spine. So taking more vitality, prana from the air. Our out breath, sink down. I'll do it again. A few centering breaths. As we prepare to come back up into the tabletop. So deep breath in. And the out breath, we're going to push ourselves back up to our tabletop. We're going to stay in our extended tabletop because we're going to now weave all those together. Before we do that, we're going to work with downward facing dog. So we're taking a few stabilizing breaths here in our extended tabletop. Take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to push up into downward facing dog. And this being our first downward facing dog of our practice, we can play with it for a bit. Feel the stretch behind our legs, pushing our heels towards the mat. Maybe do it one at a time, bending one knee and trying to push the heel down. Not without forcing, just being aware, being present, feeling that stretch behind your leg. You can work on the inversion from the forward fold part by bringing our hips up, our stomach in, feeling the power of the forward fold. You can even use downward dog to help stretch out the shoulders. Just a few breaths. Getting into our first downward facing dog. Now come to more relaxed because we're going to get into our Flowy Warm-Up routine. 3 vinyasas. So we're going to take a deep breath in here. And on our out breath, we're going to fold down into extended child's pose. On our in breath, we're going to come up into our tabletop. On our out breath, we're going to sink down into crocodile. Pressing your hands if we need to. On the in breath, we're going to come up into our cobra. On the out breath, we can come up to our tabletop, and then up into downward facing dog, or straight up into downward facing dog if your body will allow that. Deep breath in here. And on the out breath, sinking down into our extended child's pose. In breath, up into our tabletop. Out breath, into our crocodile. In breath, up into our cobra. Out breath, back to our downward facing dog. In breath here. One more time, our out breath into our extended child pose. In breath up into our tabletop. Out breath into our crocodile. In breath up into our cobra. Out breath up into our downward facing dog, or tabletop to downward facing dog. In breath here. Now this out breath, we're going to sink down into extended child's pose, but stay here for the in breath. And on the out breath, we're going to bring our arms to our sides for classic child's pose. For a few breaths, releasing, letting go, up and up. Enjoying the power of our downward face, our child's pose, helping us release and let go of what no longer serves us. Our Flowy Warm-Up routine, it's got a lot of energy flowing and moving, circulation going. So now our child's pose can go that much deeper, releasing all that's not in harmony with it. Now we prepare for our next movement. Take a deep breath in. And on our out breath, we're just going to come up into thunderbolt pose. You're sitting on your heels. Looks like hero, but hero is actually a little further out, and then you put your buttocks on the mat. A little tight right now. Thunderbolt pose. A little higher up. Anyway. here for a little bit. You might be surprised how dizzy that just got you. Then we're just going to come to an easy cross-legged position and get ready for the next part of our practice. So that was Flowy Warm-Up routine.